kúrò jọ̀wọ́ má gbé kúrò. Àkàbàrà ará ìlú Peace tẹlifíṣàn tó kọ́ ni lọ́gbọ́n ìròyìn tó pé sí i. Ilẹ̀ tàdé orin àríyá lóríṣiríṣi. Spọ́tì eré ìdárayá kọ́ṣọ́ àṣà ìbílẹ̀ wa. Wá polówó ọjà kájẹ́kùgbà ẹja. Ìyẹ́kùn òyọ́ ló ní kẹjẹ́ kájọ máa gbọ́. Ìyá kárí la wà lọ́ngà kálá expressway. Olúyọlé extension nìbàdàn la wà. Peace tẹlifíṣàn jọ̀wọ́ má gbé kúrò. Peace online TV jọ̀wọ́ má gbé kúrò. Peace online rédíò jọ̀wọ́ má gbé kúrò.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the afternoon news on Peace Radio Live with me, Adedoyin. First, the headlines. Kogi State frustrates efforts to carry out COVID-19 tests. Doctors lament. Police arrest 10 suspects for flogging pastor over Facebook posts. Prepare for the worst, minister tells Nigerians. Curfew. Lagos police descends on journalists, detains TVC correspondents. SMEs must reinvent to remain competitive, Heritage Bank boss. We have uncovered plots to impose emergency rule on rivers, says government. UI begins process to appoint new VC. Lagos doctors begin indefinite sit at home to protest police harassment. Kogi government frustrates efforts to carry out COVID-19 tests. Doctors lament. The Kogi State government have been accused of frustrating health officials' efforts to test patients who have COVID-19 symptoms in the state. The president of the Association of Resident Doctors, FMC Lokoja, Agu Nana, disclosed this in a statement on Tuesday, stating that the current situation of things in the state had increased COVID-19 risk among health workers. Nana appealed to the Federal Ministry of Health and the Presidential Task Force of COVID-19 to rally all relevant stakeholders in Kogi State to ensure that coronavirus tests are carried out in the state for the safety of health workers. He said, many symptoms suggestive of COVID-19 have been seen severally in the hospital, but efforts to get them tested were frustrated by the state government authorities. There is massive fear at the Federal Medical Center, Lokoja, as medical doctors and other health workers raise alarm of imminent danger posed by the COVID-19 pandemic to their lives. This was against the backdrop of the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, report issued on 17th May 2020 that only a single coronavirus test has been conducted in Kogi State. It is a known fact that without coronavirus tests, physicians cannot properly categorize and treat the patients coming into the hospital in accordance with the management protocols. The Federal Ministry of Health and the Presidential Task Force on Coronavirus should rally all relevant stakeholders in Kogi State to ensure that tests are being done to ensure the safety of the healthcare workers, as they are now the most at-risk population in the state. One cannot underestimate the impact of this disease on the lives of the families of who have lost loved ones to it. As at today, across the country, 603 doctors have been exposed, 149 confirmed positive, and 7 deaths recorded. We in FMC Lokoja do not wish to be joined in these statistics. Recall that the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC, disclosed that only one coronavirus test has been carried out in the state in a situation report which countered the state government's claims of testing 111 patients, which ought one pastor, Okochukwu Obeni, of Undukwe Amasiri village in Hafikpo North local government area of Ebonyi State. It was alleged that the victim was flogged over 36 strokes of the cane because of the post he made on Facebook against the chairman of Afikpo North local government area, Honorable Ogbonia Oko Enyim, and some key stakeholders in the area. A source from the community hinted that the victim was supposed to be flogged 50 strokes of cane. if not for the timely intervention of his elder brother, who paid cash over 5,000 in exchange for the remaining 14 strokes. In a statement released by the Ebonyi State Police spokesperson, DSP Lovett Oda, the victim isolation centers all over the country, recently in Yenogua and Oshogbo. We also continue providing diagnostic commodities and facilities in collaboration with partners. The Director General of the NCDC, Dr. Chike Iyekweazu, said, "We are not doing community testing everywhere. In certain states like Lagos, Kano, and even in the FCT, we are taking the test a lot closer to the community because of the intensity of transmission in those states. In those states, the states are identifying hotspots area, and based on those identifications, intensifying testing in those community. We haven't gotten to the stage of drawing community testing across the country. We are doing targeted hotspots area identified by states." He reminded Nigerians that the ravaging force of the virus does not discriminate the basis of status, creed, political persuasion, profession, or where you come from. Now is the time to be detained at the Alausa police station. A police officer who led the team in Alausa said she was acting on strict orders from above. Health workers and journalists with identification cards were all detained, and their cars were impounded by the officers. This story is the same across the states, as health workers have called TVC News to confirm if the directive by the president has changed. The arrest is an outright disregard of President Muhammadu Buhari's directive that those on essential duties are free to move. The Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 earlier thanked health workers and the media who are frontline workers in the battle against coronavirus. TVC News crime correspondent Ivy Kanu is presently at the Alausa police station, and the management is trying to reach the government officials for clarity. Let's go on a short commercial break. We'll be right back.
nípa kákó nínú ṣáàjì pẹ̀lú múra ọ̀gá ni wọ́n jẹ́ ìbẹ̀rù ọlọ́run tó péye ìwọ̀n fi ń ṣiṣẹ́. gbogbo ìdè gbogbo ayọ̀dẹ gbogbo ayé pátá gbogbo ayé pátá nípa kákó nínú ṣáàjì pẹ̀lú múra ọ̀gá ni wọ́n jẹ́ ìbẹ̀rù ọlọ́run tó péye ìwọ̀n fi ń ṣiṣẹ́. wọ́n fi ń ṣiṣẹ́ láàfà iṣẹ́ àṣepé hòtẹ́ẹ̀lì tó súnmọ́ra mi ni wọ́n fi ń sí àṣìláàtù nígbàdígbà òfin ṣeré best accommodation pẹ̀fí àrísù ó ti pọ̀jù yọ aládìínú mọ̀rin amọ̀dá òǹkà ọmọ ọmọ ìbàdàn lókè ààrẹ máa tẹ̀síwájú. Oríire mo bá ọ̀dẹ gbogbo ayé pátá pátá ní ìmọ̀ ṣàmúlàtọ̀ ní pátákó nínú ṣáàjì pẹ̀lú múra ọ̀gá ni wọ́n jẹ́ ìgbéró ọlọ́run tó fi ń ṣiṣẹ́.
èèyàn ayé ló di bá mi la fi ń ṣe di bá mi àjò sì dùn ún lọ o ṣùgbọ́n bá a bá rẹ́ni eré bá ràjò ni o ẹgbẹ́ ẹ fẹ́ ràjò àbẹ́ ẹ fẹ́ lọ ṣiṣẹ́ lájò bó sì jẹ́ iṣẹ́ olóore hajj tàbí umrah
wait àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ bákan náà bẹ́ẹ̀ bá fẹ́ lọ ṣiṣẹ́ hajj tàbí umrah Manlad and Tours Limited ní ẹ̀tọ́ lọ ọmọ aníbìnrin ò ní ṣìwàwù wọ́n ń ta tíkẹ́ẹ̀tì fún ibikíbi tẹ́ ẹ bá fẹ́ lọ lágbàáyé ẹgbẹ̀rún 5 náírà lówó fọ́ọ̀mù wọn ẹ̀rí àwọn tó ti bá wọn dòwò pọ̀ ń bẹ nílẹ̀ jàǹtìrẹrẹ. Number 5 Main Road Aduni Shopping Arcade Iriakari Estate Olúyọ̀lé Extension Ìbàdàn lọ́fíìsì wọn wà ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ wọn ni 0805 752 2230 tàbí 0809 961 0439 Manlad Travels and Tours Limited ààyè ìfọ̀kànbalẹ̀ fún ìrìn àjò.
ìrọ̀rùn ti dé oore ti dé àlùbáríkà estate wọ́n ti kórè dé ìrànlẹ̀ kọ́lé wọ́n san ẹ̀dùn níyà.
bóyá lọ mọ̀ pé o lè di onílẹ̀ pẹ̀lú owó díẹ̀ tí ò ga ju ara lọ ní àlùbáríkà estate tó wà ní ọlọ́dẹ village ọlọ́kà bus stop ní olóje village ìwógun ẹ̀rú ìbàdàn. òótọ́ tí o bá bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí sanwó ilẹ̀ rẹ ọjọ́ náà ni o máa gba ilẹ̀ rẹ. àlùbáríkà estate súre fún ọ pé òní sin kọ́kọ́rọ́ kú àkìrí kékeré àkàtì kì í nílé lórí. ìwọ ní àmì nìkan ò tó tara ṣàṣà dìde fúyà kí o kàn sí wọn ní ọ́fíìsì wọn tó wà ní iriakari along Akala Expressway Olúyọ̀lé extension Ìbàdàn ẹ̀lú wọn 09017835465 09068811325.
àlùbáríkà estate wọ́n sọ ẹ̀dùn níyà.
SMEs must reinvent to remain competitive, Heritage Bank boss said. Managing Director, Chief Executive, Heritage Bank Limited, Mr. Ifi Sekibo, has advised small and medium enterprises to reinvent themselves in order to remain competitive and overcome the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic. Speaking on converting ideas into reality with focus on SMEs, Sekibo has also stressed the need for SMEs to continually embrace partnership and function as an integral part of a value chain. He said, for SMEs to strive, they must continually reinvent themselves. One big plus for SMEs is that they are quite small and they can easily change. Cooperation is key at this very point. I advocate always. Competition is good, but complementing each other is better. It comes with value chain principle. When you plan yourself in a value chain, you gain more because the big dinosaurs need the small SMEs to survive. The economy of Nigeria needs the SME to survive. I recommend that the partnership are developed in the space of SMEs. One-man business find it difficult to survive in an economy that is changing on a daily basis or even hourly. If you want to remain viable, your dreams being viable, partnership are a good way to go. Sekibo also counseled SMEs on the need to adapt the reality of a new world occasioned by the COVID-19 pandemic, especially the increased adoption of electronic channels, the e-channels, for productivity and product marketing. He said, the truth is that even after the pandemic, we can never return to the normal way because this is the new normal, and in our desperation to find solution, mistakes abound. Failures will set in, and most of us will hide from our failures and others than face it. We have uncovered plots to impose emergency rule on rivers, says government. The Rivers State government on Wednesday said it uncovered plots by some disgruntled elements to impose an emergency rule on the state. The government said some citizens of the state residing in Abuja were planning to cause the breakdown of law and order in the state to force the declaration of a state of emergency. The State Commissioner for Information and Communications, Pastor Paulinus Insirim, is in a statement said such persons started making such attempts from 2015. The State Commissioner for Information and Communication, Pastor Paulinus Insirim, in a statement said such persons started making such attempts in 2015, but he said archers of the evil plot continued to fail following God's intervention. They did everything within their powers to ensure that the 2019 governorship election results were not announced, but also failed. As the build-up for the 2023 election and jostle for presidential and vice presidential tickets is gathering momentum, they want to use COVID-19 to create a crisis, as if the state is at war with the federal government. They have decided to create unnecessary tension, as if indigenes of Ahoda, Eleme and Port Harcourt are fighting with the northerners, not to carry out their legitimate businesses. Insirim wondered why people forgot history quickly, recording that herdsmen clashes have been common narrative in the northern part of the country. He said, since 2015, there have been farmers' herdsmen clashes in Nasarawa, Plateau, Taraba, Ebonyi, Cross River, Kaduna, Yobe, and Borno states. Throughout this COVID-19 pandemic, states like Enugu, Lagos, Cross River, Akwa Ibom, Edo, and Kaduna states have been intercepting lorries carrying human beings instead of foodstuff. This is the same thing that the Rivers State government is doing to protect the state from COVID-19. Bandits have been killing innocent people in Sokoto, Katsina, Zamfara, and Kaduna states, and indigenes of the states, no matter their political differences, are working together to protect their states. But here in Rivers State, instead of supporting our efforts, these Abuja politicians are busy looking for a state of emergency because they want to acquire power. We are alarmed at these idiot plots against our state. Rivers State has never fought a war with strangers or neighbors. Our fight against COVID-19 is to protect the lives of everyone living and doing business in the state. We are aware that some shameless politicians are playing politics with COVID-19. No wonder one of the respected chieftains of the All Progressive Congress (APC) has to expose their plan to use COVID-19 to launch into the politics of the state. This is what we see in the lives of ungodly, dangerous, and power-hungry people who claim to love the state. After their clandestine meeting, they have voted huge sum of money to entice and recruit gullible persons to carry out their plan. He called on all patriotic river indigenes to be at alert to resist the devilish plans of unpatriotic elements conniving with enemies of the state to cause confusion. As a state, we have always defeated these sadists. With God on our side, we shall overcome them, he said. Moving down to Ibadan, University of Ibadan to be precise, UI begins processes of appointing new VC. The Governing Council of the University of Ibadan, UI, has announced the commencement of processes of appointing a new Vice Chancellor for the institution. Mrs. Bumi Fabui, Registrar of the institution and Secretary to the Governing Council, disclosed this in a special bulletin of the institution obtained in Ibadan on its day. She said the Governing Council called on candidates vying for the position of the Vice Chancellor of the institution to note the requirements and guidelines to meet to be elected for the position. The candidate for the post of the Vice Chancellor is required to possess a good education and should be given successful manager of human resources. The Vice Chancellor should hold office for a single term of 5 years only, on such terms and conditions as may be specified in the letter of appointment. The remuneration and other conditions of service are applicable to the post of the Vice Chancellor in all Nigerian Federal University, and as may be determined from time to time by government and governing council as appropriate, she said. Falui noted that the application for the post should be made in 50 copies, accompanied by 50 copies of the candidate's curriculum vitae duly signed and dated. It also includes a statement of the candidate's vision for the university in the 21st century, amongst the other requirements to be submitted under confidential cover, and addressed to the Registrar and Secretary of Council, University of Ibadan. Applications should be done within 6 weeks of the adverts, and electronic copies of submissions to vcapappointments@ui.edu.ng, she said. Moving down to Lagos, doctors begin indefinite sit-at-home protest, police harassment. The Lagos State branch of the Nigerian Medical Association (NMA) has directed doctors in states to proceed in an indefinite sit-at-home order to protest what they describe as conflicting directive by the government and incessant police harassment on medical doctors and other health workers in the state. In a press statement made available on Vanguard and jointly signed by the state chairman of the NMA, Dr. Saliu Oseni, and the secretary, Dr. Ramon Moronkola, the sit-at-home order is expected to begin today, Wednesday, 20th of May, from 6 p.m. The medical doctors maintained that it was no longer safe for their members to continue to provide healthcare services under the present confused arrangement. They said development became necessary as a result of the numerous complaints of police harassment from the members who are either going home after close of work and some on transit to heed the emergency call of the various hospitals. They lamented that whereas the directive by President Muhammadu Buhari through the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 was clear on the exemption of essential workers, including doctors and other healthcare workers, the Commissioner of Police in Lagos State, Mr. Akim Odumoshu, has been issuing conflicting directives that essential workers, including doctors and other health workers, were not exempted. As a direct result of the conflicting directive of the government and the Lagos State Commissioner of Police, the NMA have inundated yesterday, Tuesday, 19th of May 2020, evening of several cases of harassment and intimidation of doctors and other health workers by officers and men of Lagos State Police Command. The healthcare workers were either resuming duty, returning home, or on transit to heed an emergency call. There was the most disturbing case of an ambulance conveying and injured patients, which was prevented from moving to destination, while the attending health workers were harassed and temporarily detained. You will recall that this same ugly situation had occurred sometimes in the early phase of the ongoing lockdown/restriction of movements, based on similar conflicting directive from the State Commissioner of Police. It took the intervention of the governor of the state, following a petition by the association for normalcy to be restored. The Lagos NMA further said that until the government and the Lagos State Commissioner of Police, Mr. Akeem Odumoshu, will wish to operationalize the lockdown/restriction of movement directive, vice versa, the status of essential workers NMA has resolved that it is presently unsafe for members to continue to provide healthcare services under the present confused arrangement. They further demanded a written statement signed by government and the appropriate police authorities with clear terms on the status of essential services, including healthcare services and its providers. The medical doctors insisted that the statement must be issued and advertised in social and mainstream media, as well as a copy submitted to the Secretariat of Lagos State branch of NMA before they will call off the sit-at-home order. The headlines once again. Kogi State frustrates efforts to carry out COVID-19 tests. Doctor laments. Police arrest 10 suspects for flogging pastor over Facebook posts. Prepare for the worst, minister tells Nigerians. Curfew. Nigerian Lagos descend on journalists. Detains TVC correspondents. SMEs must reinvent to remain competitive, Heritage Bank boss. We have uncovered plots to impose emergency rule on Rivers, says government. UI begins process to appoint new VC. Lagos doctor begins indefinite sit-at-home to protest police harassment. This is all for today. We will be back with some more news tomorrow, same time, same station, with me, Adegbile Adedoyin. Till then, have a nice day.